No one who's a regular TikTok user can be unaware of the allegations, particularly in the USA, that its parent company ByteDance is a tool of Chinese foreign policy. This is partly a China-critical video, so let's begin with a look at that. In 2019, TikTok banned a viral video by a user called Feroz Aziz, apparently because it highlighted the persecution of Uyghur Muslims in China's Xinjiang region, a persecution some have characterized as genocide. There was an outcry on social media, and TikTok quickly restored the video, citing a human moderation error. To be fair, she's since posted other videos on the same topic, and she's currently got a lot of followers. To be equally fair, it's hard not to ask whether things might have turned out differently had there not been that outcry. An article in Forbes in 2023 entitled TikTok's China Problem claimed that it filtered out content related to Taiwan, the Uyghurs, and Hong Kong. Shortly afterwards, a Rutgers University-linked study compared the frequency of posts on Instagram as against TikTok. It found that while posts on subjects such as Taylor Swift and Donald Trump were twice as frequent on Instagram, when it came to the Uyghurs, they were 8 times as frequent, Tibet 30 times, Tiananmen Square 57 times, and Hong Kong protests a whopping 174 times. Freedom, How We Lose It and How We Fight Back is a 2021 historical and philosophical work by Nathan Law Kwun-chung. Law was born in China in 1993 and moved with his mother to Hong Kong when he was 6. In 2016, he was elected to Hong Kong's Legislative Council by a huge margin, but quickly removed from his post by Beijing on a technicality. Like many other Hong Kong dissidents, he was eventually forced to leave the country. On the 3rd of July 2023, the Chinese authorities issued a $1 million reward for information leading to his capture. He hasn't killed or even harmed anyone. His sole offence consisted and consists in challenging the official narrative about Hong Kong. Freedom, How We Lose It charts the region's journey since the end of British rule in 1997. Under the British, Law says, although universal suffrage didn't exist, there was freedom of expression, a flourishing and free press, and the rule of law. Those things have now all gone. It's a story of incrementally applied government repression. A free press is undermined, Law writes, not by a single diktat, but by attrition. The rule of law ends not when lawyers are hanged from the scaffold as traitors, but when our understanding of the law itself is changed. It's a shift so subtle you might miss it, and then one day you realise you've had a thought you're afraid to say out loud. This is not an academic book, he says, it's a reflection on the freedom that's chanted in the streets. What makes it relevant for the general reader is its passionate and convincing argument that the Chinese Communist Party is systematically attempting to erode freedom globally. A, through economic coercion, B, through moral and material support for despotic regimes such as those in Syria, Iran, and North Korea, and C, by trying to deflect criticism with outraged accusations of racism. Victims of the economic coercion would include Cathay Pacific Airlines after some of its employees expressed personal support for the Hong Kong protests, Australia after it called for an international inquiry into the source of COVID, the UK after it placed restrictions on Hawaii, and Norway after its Nobel Committee awarded the Peace Prize to a Chinese dissident. The list goes on. My guess concerning ByteDance is not so much that it's a tool of Chinese foreign policy as that it was always vulnerable to the same kind of pressure. As regards C in the list I just gave, the racism, Law provides strong evidence of double standards. It's common in China, he says, for jobs and services to specify race and sex. Blackface and other racial stereotypes appear at state-organised national festivals. A nationwide advert showed a black man falling into a washing machine and being cleaned into an attractive pale-skinned Chinese man. There are no laws against sexual and racial discrimination in China because, so China says, it's a Western problem. Some of this book has to be read to be believed. Most people watching this video won't be aware, for example, that the Chinese Communist Party has recently begun rewriting the Bible and the Quran to substitute its own values. In the genuine Gospel of John, Jesus disperses a crowd about to stone an adulterous woman by saying, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." He then forgives her. End of story. In the revised party version, Jesus tells her that if the law was to be enforced by blameless people, it couldn't exist, after which he stones her to death himself. Law is emphatic that anti-Chinese Communist Party does not mean anti-China. China has existed as a civilization for 6,000 years, he writes, and as an imperial state for 2,000. The People's Republic of China was founded in 1949, and the first thing it did was destroy that China. Over the last 70 years, the party has destroyed more of China's cultural heritage, killed more Chinese people, and done more to ravage their souls than any foreign invader. Generally speaking, the sad truth may be that a lot of people don't particularly care about freedom, not so long as they have security and high living standards. On TikTok, they want followers and likes, and they may not believe TikTok's assurances that what happened to Firoza Aziz was the result of human moderation error. So they'll steer clear of anything remotely anti-Chinese. Some might even shamefully go the other way. All in all, freedom, how we lose it, is a powerful argument for standing up to Chinese coercion and not allowing our politicians to be guilt-tripped or co-opted into giving way on fundamental principles of free expression. One thing's for sure, its ramifications extend well beyond Hong Kong.